Hi, everyone. This is Megan Schadler and Katie McHugh of Yonder Window Theater Company. I'm the administrative director of the company, and Katie is the artistic director. Today, we're going to be chatting with you about our new project, the Yonder Window Creative Crusade, exploring the story of solitude. Did I get that right, Katie? So yeah, we started this new project. You might have seen us posting about it on our Facebook and Instagram, and we had some questions coming in from people that we wanted to answer in video form. So the first question I think that we need to answer is, what is the Yonder Window Creative Crusade?
Great question. And we have actually had that question quite a bit, including from my own family. So I'm here to answer that. It's a call to arms. The word crusade is a charge, organized charge, led by a group of people, and we are a group of people, a group of artists and non-artists joining us that are trying to create a piece together. And one of the reasons that I wanted it to be a crusade is because I think that right now we are trying to define what is theater, or what is the process of making theater in this time. And a lot of my company members have been asking me for something to do during this time. And so I thought it would be a really exciting idea for us to re-examine how to create a piece of theater in this period.
I think something that we've touched on in a lot of our company meetings about this project is that there's a lot of pressure right now. Everyone is putting a lot of pressure on themselves to create something individually, but no one has really thought, how do we create something new together right now?
Mm-hmm.
This is a really great way to keep community in theater without actually having to be present for that.
Well, there's a lot of archival theater happening, including from our own company. We did the global release of our Dream Project, and that had a great response. And I'm watching, it's a really exciting thing to be able to watch all of these incredible shows from the National, Jane Eyre, and all of these gorgeous pieces that are being aired that we wouldn't normally get to see, and they're free, and that's amazing. And we love being a part of that. But I do feel that there's a lot of reminiscing and looking backwards from ourselves as well as artists, which is a very important thing to do in this time. But I also would like to look forward. And I would also like to have something now that inspires us, that is something we can grasp onto together. And that's part of what the Crusade is about, is gathering artists from all over the world. I've had a chance in my career thus far to work with hundreds and hundreds of artists throughout the years, and they're all very dear to me and all very important to me, and I'm in contact with probably almost all of them. But inevitably the project that we're working on ends, and I have to say goodbye, or until next time. And I've always wanted to create a project where everyone can be involved. And this is an opportunity to do that. So we'll talk a little bit more about exactly what the project is, but the big point of it is that we want as many people involved as possible. So that is why we're calling it a creative crusade, because we're asking people to join us on our organized campaign.
Yeah, I love that. I noticed that right away when I started working at Yonder Window with you, that we do collect such a great community of artists. Every single project we do, it feels like we walk away with a bigger family. So that kind of brings me to something we touched on a little bit, the inspiration to begin this project.
Yeah.
So where did that come from in you?
Well, several things. And people have been asking me that question quite a lot. Really, the catalyst for the project was the 100-day project. That project has been going on for 7 years now, and our marketing director, DeMarcus, wanted us to join that. And it got me thinking, because what they're doing is they're creating a charge for people to say, okay, I'm going to create a piece of art over the course of 100 days, and I'm going to post each one of those days a little bit of that project. So if you're a painter, it's an easy example. You're going to paint a little bit of the painting that you're working on for 100 days. If you're not an artist at all, then it is also an encouraging thing to say, okay, express yourself in a way, start a project. Her point is that everyone is an artist, and Lindsay Jean, and I really think that it's a beautiful thing that she's doing and that she has been doing. And so I was asked to join it as a company. So as the artistic director of the company, then the thought process was, well, okay, how do I join this as a director of theater? Normally what we would do is get a bunch of artists in a room and start creating and start working on a script, but that's not possible right now.
It's frowned upon right now.
It's not. I can't get everybody in a room. I can get everybody in a Zoom. I can't get everybody in a room. So I thought, okay, well, what would be the beginning of a project? How do we start? Well, most of our projects that are devised, where we don't have a script, where we're starting from the ground up, have started with solo pieces. I've given a prompt to our company members to start a piece based on X, Y, and Z, and given them some instructions and said, create a solo piece and bring it to the first day of rehearsal, and we'll show those solo pieces to everyone, and then we will start building from there. We have even done that in auditions. For the Dream Project 3.0, we actually did have that be part of our auditions. We prompted people to create a solo piece and bring them into auditions. So I thought, what if we create something that everyone around the world, people that we don't know and people that we do know, everyone we've ever worked with, to create a solo piece. And instead of showing it in a rehearsal room, we can take hundreds of people and we can post it online. Yeah. And that's the way I think we should be joining the 100-Day Project. So that was part of the inspiration. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but another part of the inspiration is just that my company is itching for something to do. A lot of company members have reached out to me and said, give me an assignment. And I really like that. And that's, and a lot of them are also sending me inspirational things they've watched online that are just really exciting, and they're saying, okay, can we create something like this, or this inspires me, what's the next workshop?
Because we were in the middle of a explorative workshop right before this happened, literally in
scratch the surface, right? Right in the sweet zone.
We were all ready to get going and start exploring and creating something new. So that makes a lot of sense that the company would come to you saying, wait, I was all revved up. I was ready to go.
Yeah.
Do something.
Yeah.
I know those solo pieces when we did the Dream Project for Dream Project 3.0 for auditions were one of my favorite things to see. And I loved how so much of what the people brought to the room was actually incorporated in the final version, which is all a part of our process. So if somebody's submitting for the Creative Crusade, what does their solo piece look like? What is that process like? So if I was making a video, what does it look like?
Okay. And that comes to the next question, which is the title. Okay, so what is the prompt? And the prompt is join the Creative Crusade and create a solo piece titled The Story of My Solitude. And that is a prompt that's been, it took me a lot of time to figure out what exactly I want people to create. In the past, we've worked with a script or started with a piece of text. I've started with poems before on devised pieces. Mad Girl's Love Song was one of my first aerial devised pieces. the last 3 years we've been doing the Dream Project, which is based on Midsummer Night's Dream. So we've had text to work with. We've had Shakespeare's text. We've had a story. We've created a new story from Shakespeare's text. And so I didn't feel if I'm jumping into the world stage and asking people across the universe to create something, I didn't feel like I wanted to start with a script, because then that's forcing everybody to read something and be inspired by the exact same text, unless I found something that was absolutely universally inspiring for everybody, which Shakespeare is. But I thought that the prompt should be something that we possibly are experiencing right now, that's close to home, that's close to the heart. So I started thinking about the word isolation, and I thought that had a bit of a negative connotation, even though we are feeling like that, we're feeling cut off from the world, and we are isolated right now. I think that there's something deeper than that. And so that's how I arrived at the word solitude, because I feel that solitude is not a negative thing. The definition is being alone. But I feel that it is something with inner peace, with how do we find that joy, that inner peace, that stillness. And so I started thinking about, well, people are quarantined alone. I mean, I have family members that are quarantined alone. And so is their solitude very confined? Is it different? Are they wishing they didn't have as much solitude? Are they wanting something else? So what is their story? What do they do? How do they find their solitude? Versus people who are quarantined with their entire family, people that don't normally have their kids home 24/7, people that aren't normally with their spouses or with their grandparents, or with their roommates. I mean, that could be back to my college days. I could be interesting, quarantine with some of the roommates I had back in the day. Yeah. So if you're never alone, then how do you find your solitude? And that's a question too. So I felt like the Story of Solitude is a good title for this piece. We're calling it Creative Crusade, the Story of Solitude. And when we create the script, it will be the Story of Solitude. But your prompt is the story of my solitude.
Right. I know when I read the prompt, which is on our website, it even took me back. It wasn't even like when I thought about my solitude, I went back to a place I was in, years ago. I didn't even consider like where I was now and how I find that now. So it's really, for me, it's a very personal, the story of my solitude. Yeah. So personal. And like you said, it's different from isolation, which we're all experiencing. Solitude is so personal to each person. So I'm really excited to see what we get from those videos, which if you go to our website, yonderwindow.co, you'll find our Creative Crusade page, which lists all of the information you need to know, how long the video needs to be, what the actual wording of our prompt is. We can read it now if you want, Katie. But yeah, and also the guidelines, how to submit it, where to submit it, what we're looking for in that regard. I know we are a very multidisciplinary company. We have lots of different, we have dancers, acrobats, actors, all those things. But something we talked about as a company was your solitude could be baking cookies or
yeah, and that's it. I think people are, one of the common questions that we've been getting is what if I'm not an artist? Because we do have company members that are joining us from around the world that do already have a plethora of disciplines that they work in, whether it's aerial, dance. We have, scenic designers, painters, videographers, you name it. We've worked with every spectrum of artists, but we have people that are patrons that are really excited about this, that want to join the process. And so that's another reason that I picked this prompt, because it's open to interpretation. So if your solitude, if the story of your solitude, because like Megan said, it could be over the course of years, you're finding your solitude. Maybe you haven't found it yet, and it's a story of the search for your solitude, but it can be just simply you sitting still and meditating. I had one of our company members say, my solitude is my meditation. And that the only way that they are finding it right now is to sit in a quiet place, in a quiet room, and meditate. Okay, if that's the case, and that's very personal, and that's what you're doing, then turn a camera on it for a minute and show us your meditation. And that's part of it. Because if you think about it, every single person that submits a piece, we're going to be watching those pieces. So let's say we get 200 submissions. We're going to watch all 200 of those submissions. And we're going to be inspired by all of them. And we're going to create a script based on all of these 200 submissions. Some of you may get another prompt from us. Some of you may get a call or Zoom from me saying, hey, I'm really inspired by what you did. Can you tell me about it? And can you then now do this? I want you to add on top of it. And that's what we're doing in our rehearsal room. When we started the solo pieces for Dream Project, we said, oh my God, that piece of music is extraordinary. Great, let's start there, and let's start building a dance piece based on that piece of music, because that was a really big moment for us. So somebody comes to us with a song, a piece of music. I may say, okay, you 3 dancers that submitted this gorgeous dance piece, I want you now, here's this piece of music, to create another piece based on that music. And so there's ample opportunities here for us to collaborate across the board in our own homes. We don't have to be in a rehearsal room for this. So at the end of this 100 days, who knows where we'll be with this piece. But I like the structure of the 100-day project, because it's a very nice way to say, okay, we're going to be working on this for 100 days. We may go past the 100 days. You know, we're hopefully going to be out back into the world in the next 2 weeks, or let's hope, or less, or if it's more, so be it. And that's what we have to do. But our project is right now 100 days. We're 10 days in, and you know, we'll see where we're at after 100 days. And if we end up going past the 100 days, great. But
yeah. And this, I've had some people ask me, like, am I working on the prompt for 100 days? And the answer is typically, no, you're not. I mean, like Katie said, you might have to call. We are at the window, yes. Yeah. But we want your video as soon as you film it. We could have it tomorrow. You know, whenever you film your story of your solitude, you know, send it to us, and it becomes a part of the 100 days of this project, and then beyond. And I wanted to just comment on, you know, you were talking about the process of devising, and then, you know, here's a piece of music, now do this, and try, you know, take the next step. We've done that with students as well. Like, this project is not just confined to adult, you know, artists. This is anyone who wants to join, and any of our students might be watching, or their friends. Like, we want you to participate as well.
Yes, they count. I would say probably some of my biggest inspiration over the years have been my students. Hands down. I think as a teacher, I learn more in the classroom than my students do, honestly. And that's really, that's my foundation. I started as a theater educator. I will always be a theater educator. I will always teach till my dying day, I hope. And so I really feel strongly about creating a project that all of our students can be involved in, past, present, and future, because we have several people registered for the New York Teen Shakespeare Intensive this summer. We're still working on deciding whether or not we're able to do that, but we do have students registered. So those students can get involved with us now, which is exciting. So
yeah, definitely. yeah, I think we've covered a lot, and I'm just going to bring it back to our website. Mention that again, yonderwindow.co. And if you want to get a little more specific, yonderwindow.co/creativecrusade. You'll find all the information you need to know about the project, about how to submit to the project. Our prompt is up there. What does the word solitude provoke in you? Whether you find solitude creating a dance piece, musical composition, painting, or baking cookies, we are inviting you to share it with us and the world. So that's just part of the prompts. I invite you to go onto the website, read more about it, and there are also some more questions that might have been asked and not answered in this video. You can find those on our FAQ sheet. It's also attached to the underwindow.co/creativecrusade page. So yeah, I think, do you have any final thoughts or
I would like to say to everybody that if you have questions, reach out. We're happy to answer them. We're even happy to get on a Zoom call with you or a FaceTime and talk to you about your piece if you want to. Even before you create it, we're happy to participate. So absolutely get involved with us. And I'm asking everybody to keep creating.
Mm-hmm.
That's my mantra right now. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, great. All right. Thank you for watching our video, and we hope you join us on our Creative Crusade.
Yeah.
Bye.